Well, hey there, good morning to you and welcome to Still Up with 6, where the conversation continues. Of course, every single morning we want to keep you updated and informed on what's true, what's not, the latest number of cases of coronavirus here in Central Texas, and so much more. But of course, we have to say good morning to Chris, who's live from his home. Good morning, Chris.
Hey there, good morning to you, Heidi. Let's try to stall a little bit here until a couple more of you join. I know that plenty of you miss Texas Today every single morning. It's not part of your routine right now, and we understand that. So some of you rely on this as a means of getting you updated before you start your day, and we understand that as well. That's why we're here to have conversations with you in real time and also answer your questions at home. And that's something that I think has been really helpful for a lot of you, is that we're able to answer your questions in real time. Of course, Heidi, you and I are around the information every single day, and certainly I am doing research on the coronavirus every single day, so I do have a lot of information and a lot of useful information for plenty of you at home. So if you want to right now get started with a little bit, as we do every time, of an update on the numbers.
Yeah, so today the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the U.S. is expected to surpass 400,000 cases. So that's going to happen today. That is what is expected. But locally, Bell County now stands at 71 cases. McLennan County has 62 cases. Brazos County has 97 cases. And Coryell County has 13 cases. We also do know that a Killeen police officer has tested positive for coronavirus. He's been with the department for 13 years. 14 other officers now under quarantine this morning. And of course, we did push this. If you have the 6 News app, we did push this yesterday, that a doctor at Martindale Family Clinic in Waco has also tested positive. Meanwhile, in Mejia, an employee at the State Supported Living Center has also tested positive. So since we last checked in with everyone on Still Up with 6, I think every single county has seen a rise in cases, and we are learning more details about who all is testing positive for COVID-19. So that is the latest in numbers and cases here in Central Texas.
Yeah, Heidi, you mentioned the Killeen police officer who tested positive, the 14 others that were in quarantine. Of course, we never want to spread fear, but do remember that Killeen has seen an uptick in violent crime this year. Their resources are now going to be spread pretty thin. So if you live in the Killeen area, just stay vigilant. You know, lock your doors at night, that type of thing. There could be a possibility that the resources are stretched more thin than usual because of the quarantine happening. So certainly something to consider. And I want to get you up to speed on some. I think we have. Do we have a breakdown, Heidi, of the numbers by county on our website?
Yes, we do, and we actually have a graphic that we can actually pull up right now of the counties. There they are. These are the case numbers. Again, Bell County 71, McLennan 62, Brazos 97, Coryell 13, and we've got more details on those numbers and other counties as well that aren't listed on the screen on our website, kcentv.com. Michael, it's the first article you'll see pinned to the top of our Facebook page, or our website, excuse me, and you can click into that. We update that on a daily basis. As soon as we learn new information, we post it in that article there. So if you don't have the 6 News app, download it, because then you can get a push notification sent straight to your phone as soon as those cases change, those number of cases change.
Yeah, Heidi, I want to jump to our verify question because it's something that people were asking here on the Still Up with 6 show yesterday. I said I would do more research, and I have done some more research, and here's what we found in our Verify segment this morning. If you want to use gloves, and gloves was the big question, should I be using gloves when I go out in public? Obviously, we know that gloves will protect you. It's the reason that medical professionals use them. Here's the deal. If you're not using the gloves in the correct way, you could be doing more harm than good. The key word here is cross-contamination. So experts say you should be switching your gloves every single time you go to a new environment. You should also be switching the gloves when you go inside, from the inside out when you take them off. And you should also be vigilant to not touch your face while wearing those gloves. So unless you have a very almost unlimited supply of gloves, you certainly shouldn't be reusing gloves that you've worn out in public and gone to the grocery store with. Your best bet is to keep hand sanitizing and washing your hands. Now, if you do want to wear gloves, just follow that safety protocol.
I'm glad you verified this because it was something that was on my mind that I hadn't asked you to verify beforehand. So shout out to whoever did drop that comment yesterday on Still Up with 6. And I'm just glad you verified this because I've been seeing so many people wearing gloves, and I was thinking to myself, is this something that I need to be constantly doing? Of course, I do have one pair of gloves, but I don't have enough to get me through not cross-contaminating things. So from here on out, I'm going to just wash my hands and use hand sanitizer instead, just because I don't think I have enough supply of gloves, and I don't think a lot of people at home do either, just because we've seen so many people buying that item.
Yeah, Rosado makes a good point. If you don't understand cross-contamination, then don't. Absolutely a great point, Rosado. And a lot of you might have seen that viral video of the nurse demonstrating how cross-contamination works. She uses paint to demonstrate. It's a very good representation of how these germs can spread. So that's a lot of there is accurate information in that video if you have seen it. I know that over 1 million people at last check have seen it, and some hundreds of thousands of you have shared it as well. So that's a good demonstration of how cross-contamination works. So yeah, echoing the words of Rosado there, if you don't understand cross-contamination, your best bet is just to keep washing your hands.
Michael's asking if it's still hard to get a test. If so, then the number are not showing amount of cases. It is still hard to get a test because, again, we have to remember there's a limited quantity of tests out there. So that's the reason why it is hard, and they want to make sure that you have all the symptoms before you get tested. Of course, if you are experiencing any of the symptoms, head online. Baylor Scott & White has a little questionnaire that you can fill out to see if you do need to go to the doctor to get tested. But yes, I think as more and more people get tested, we're going to start to see an uptick in numbers, which is why we're expecting the nationwide total to go up later today.
Yeah, absolutely, Heidi. But we do want to remind people that tests are becoming more available than they were in the beginning of this pandemic. And every single day, research teams are trying to develop new tests and new testing methods to make it more efficient and get more people tested. But as of right now, you do have to make sure that you're showing all symptoms before you get tested. As to whether or not that would lead to an inaccurate representation of the number of cases, my consensus on that would be there are likely, just because of the amount of testing, many more cases of people who have it that have not tested positive officially by a test. Also remember, it's important to know, and this is why stay at home is so important, guys. You could have this and not be showing any symptoms. It's very likely that there are plenty of cases out there where people are just asymptomatic. So that's why the stay at home is so important. Of course, people might think, well, you know, I'm not showing any symptoms, I obviously don't have it, so if I go out and about, I'm not spreading it. Well, we do want to remind you that there are cases where symptoms simply don't show.
Yeah, that is important to know, and a lot of people don't even know they have it. And so that's the other scary part about this virus, is that if you don't know you have it, but yet you're still operating like normal and like you don't, you are contaminating places and getting people sick who then might show symptoms that they do have it and not know that they got it from you. So it is really important to stay at home, which is why we are continuing to social distance here on Still Up with 6 and on Texas Today, as well as our evening newscast as well. But if you guys have any questions, drop them into the comments section here. We want to answer as many questions as we can before we have to say goodbye for the day. So continue leaving your comments below.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to Ann, who had some kind words, as well as Jason, who said, now that I've been furloughed, this is my morning routine. Yeah, we do want to remind you, Jason, this you know, so many people have been furloughed or laid off right now, and so many of you who maybe used to watch Texas Today, but don't get up anymore because there's no reason to right now. You might be relying on this for your source of information, and we understand that. We want to remind you that I am working around the clock, and Heidi's available on social media as well. So as soon as this ends, if you still have questions, you send them our way. We're happy to get you some answers. We know that access to information right now is so important. We do have access to a lot of information, Heidi and I. So I know that a lot of you rely on this every single day, and it makes us feel good that you guys are appreciating getting the information to you. So yeah, those questions are very important, and I want to appreciate I want to say thank you to Michael and Ann and Jason for the kind words there.
Rosado saying that, and you were contagious before being symptomatic. That's another thing to note. It takes about 2 weeks if you do experience symptoms to see those symptoms, which is why we are emphasizing that you do stay home if you can. Bell County now advising all of its residents, if you live in the area, to wear a face mask. And if you can't buy one, whether in store or online, they recommend you make one. So that's a new recommendation coming in from Bell County.
Yeah, and it's important to note, too, that if you have a face mask, that does not mean you are, invincible to this virus. You still got to remember not to touch your face. So, it might be a little uncomfortable to wear something covering your face. It may be a little itchy or need some adjusting. But if you can try to limit touching your face and adjusting your face mask as much as possible, that'll really go a long way.
Brandon says, loves hearing from y'all, Waco 100. So I think he's referring to hearing us on Waco 100, Zach and Jim morning show. Of course, we check in with them every single day, and every single day on the show, we've been trying to give you a reason to smile, and we want to give you a reason to smile today. Check out these cool photos that we have from a school teacher here locally from Kennedy Powell named Stephanie Gordon. Her and her family are actually reenacting art pieces, and they're doing a good job, and it's just something cool that they're posting on social media that's getting a lot of laughs, smiles, and reaction. And I think they nailed it with pretty much every single one that they've done. She's an art teacher, so that's why they got the idea. And it's just something that the family's been doing to bring some joy online.
Yeah, we love to give you a reason to smile. And before we go, I want to answer just a couple more questions real quickly. Kevin asking, where are we supposed to buy face masks? It's a good question. Those N95 masks, we do recommend we leave those for the health workers right now. As to where you can buy them, if you can't find them in stores, which is understandably there's a low supply right now, experts say it's okay to make a home face mask as well, something, some kind of covering to cover your face, whether that be a handkerchief, a bandana, etc. So if you can't buy them in the store, your second best option is to make one at home.
And it's pretty easy to make them. There's a bunch of tutorials online right now. So if you want to make one, just look it up on YouTube. And then Rosado saying that they ordered a 30 count on Amazon. So there's still some on Amazon if you want some, according to Rosado. So go ahead and order one for yourself.
Let's see. One last question here, Heidi. I know we have to wrap things up. Ashley's asking, just wondering about cases that aren't verified. She took her son to the doctor last Monday. The pediatrician said he had COVID symptoms and for the quarantine, but she said they couldn't test him because they didn't have extra tests available. Well, that's a tough situation. So, Ashley, in those situations, I think that you're going to have to, unfortunately, follow the advice of your healthcare professionals. They're going to know best, and maybe check back in with them and see if more tests become available. Of course, if the symptoms aren't very severe, it's important to stay quarantined. And I would say treat it like he does have the virus, even if it turns out he isn't, if he doesn't have it. So I would just try to treat it as if it was a positive case.
And Brandon's saying, my wife has been hand-making masks. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are turning to that because there is a shortage out there. So if that's what you want to do, it's really easy. Tutorials are online. And, of course, we want to thank everyone for joining us this morning on Still Up with 6. Remember, we'll be back tomorrow to answer more of your questions. Until then, though, if you do have a question, there's all the contact information to contact Chris and send him and the Verified team your questions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on this Wednesday morning. Stay safe. We will get through this together, and we will see you tomorrow.